the problem was set up this way, so the student thought this thing. That kind of explaining why?
Yeah. That you were seeing that you thought was interesting or important, and then why was it interesting or important?
Mathematics can be orderly and logical. And I have been drawn to, so I practiced, before I started practicing Ashtanga, I did practice Bikram, but I did kind of dabble in a few other styles of yoga, and I was always attracted to those that had a set series. So Bikram has a set series, Ashtanga has a set series, Shivananda has a set series. So I've kind of been driven to just kind of the order and the logic in the sequencing. And so one thing that Ashtanga Yoga, the sequencing in Ashtanga Yoga has is in my opinion, a perfect order. I was a high school math teacher for just over 10 years, and one of the ways I think teaching yoga is similar to teaching math. I went into teaching math because, well, first because I loved it, and I loved the subject, and I also really love working with people. And so I wanted to kind of share with people this thing that I loved. And I think a lot of that is, I think the same thing is true in my yoga practice. Practice has done wonders for me. I feel like I've changed so much since I started practicing Ashtanga Yoga. And I would love to share this with people and help them experience the same kind of changes that I went through, or maybe they'll go through their own unique changes. But I just think just the idea of sharing this amazing practice with people is something that really drew me to teaching yoga. My life right now is pretty booked. I'm working on a PhD full-time, and I also have an 18-month-old. She turns 18 months today. And so it's one of the reasons that practicing is so great is that it helps balance all these things. It kind of helps integrate all these things. Okay, so I'm enrolled in a PhD program in the Learning Sciences at Northwestern University. And the Learning Sciences is a relatively new field of study. It integrates technology, psychology, sociology, multiple fields into one program in which we study how people learn.
So I'm a learning sciences student. I'm in my third year. Janet was actually my TA in one of my introductory courses and hosted me when I came to interview. I study children learning science.
Janet and Janet was my TA when I first came for one of the first classes. We've been good friends since then. We also live about 2 blocks from each other, and I do mostly work involving video games. I think video games have really interesting representations in them, and there's also often a lot of really good and really interesting science content sort of embedded in the way the game works.
So I'm a 4th year in the LS PhD program. Janet was actually my mentor my first year. I am interested in how people make sense of public knowledge claims. A lot of science education is based on trying to get people to think like scientists. But scientists, when they're outside of the lab, think like everybody else.
I'm interested in teacher learning, math teacher learning, specifically in the domain of algebra. So what I would like to do with this degree is work in a university somewhere in a department of education, and I would probably work with future and current mathematics teachers and work with them to help develop the practice